be stunned. A lot of these local media outlets actually get subsidies from the very government that they're supposed to be holding accountable. A lot of these local Flint outlets actually get tax subsidies from the state. I actually reached out to one reporter I reached out to the Detroit Free Press. I could show you the emails if you'd like to see. They didn't want to publish it, and I quote, because there's a lot of other cities in Michigan with water problems. So I said, yeah, well, let me get on my broom and go to every last city, and let's first expose what's going on in Flint, and I'd be happy to go cover the other ones. So you're not going to cover this because other cities have water problems? Well, did other cities have their water switched to a river body with dead bodies and toxic waste parts from General Motors? Are other cities 4.5 years later, literally, there are residents in Flint. There are lines in Flint. You're not going to see this on CNN, MSNBC, New York Times. We went in July. There are lines, Jimmy, for 3 to 5 hours.
Some of my interview with Jimmy, there's more to it. I think for the rest of it, we pretty much talked about the media and how the media, it's truly astounding. It's one thing if, you're an investigative reporter and you knock on doors and you find information and then you send it to some outlets and they say, oh, well, we don't think, your facts are wrong, or, oh, we think you messed some things up here, your reporting's not accurate. It's another thing when every single place we went to, not one questioned whether what we had was actually factual. None of them questioned it. It was all ridiculous reasons, starting with, well, it's an interesting story. Is there a way to connect it to President Trump? Because, this is the Trump media industrial complex, and we can't cover anything other than his tweets, his stupidity, and the Russian boogeyman. So if people are still getting poisoned in Flint, we can't cover that unless you can connect it to Trump. That's literally the media climate we're dealing with. And I kind of knew how bad the media was, but now Jen, who was along the way for this process of trying to get this story published, now she understands how bad the media is. We had outlets like ProPublica and, a lot of big outlets say, we just don't have the bandwidth. We don't have the bandwidth to tackle this story. We just don't have the bandwidth to tackle this story. Meaning we don't have the staff, we don't have the time, but they do have the bandwidth to do investigation after investigation after investigation after investigation after investigation into Trump. Because we don't already know Trump is corrupt. So all these outlets that didn't have the bandwidth, well, Daily Beast, I met with them in person about this story. They were all into it, then two days later, no thanks. Yeah, we have sent this story to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's advisors. Nothing. I'm not attacking Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Maybe her advisors didn't present it to her. I don't know. But nothing from her. For all those folks that you're probably about to ask, did you send it to this person? Jen and I have sent this story and what we have found to every single person you're about to ask twice. We haven't left one stone unturned. For God's sakes, the New York Times tried to steal this story from us. I reached out to the New York Times trying to see if they would publish it because I think they're corporate propaganda, but they do have big reach. And they told me, oh, well, we already have our own reporters. We already have our own reporters in the Midwest. So if we were going to do something like this, we'll have our reporters do it. And then I find out literally the next day after that communication, a source of mine in Flint gives me a call and says, oh, I just got a call from a New York Times reporter asking about illegal water testing, saying they got a tip. Yeah, they got a tip from me. Meaning they took the notes that I sent them based on Jen and mine, very painstaking reporting. You're talking about, it's not just like, hey, knock on the door. We went back and forth for 3 weeks during the summer, all over Flint in 95-degree weather. You'll see it in the documentary. I was schwitzing. Marshall Villager, did TYT send another reporter to Flint after they fired Jordan? I don't think so. Can't tell you yes or no because I haven't really followed what they're doing, but to my knowledge, they haven't. To my knowledge, they have not. So, I mean, I could go down the list and maybe another time I'll go through every single media outlet we reached out to and the absurd reasons we got. But the bottom line is, the state of the American media is literally that, as Jimmy Dore so humbly puts it, the only person that wants to cover this right now is a jagoff comedian. And I'm not calling him that. That's what Jimmy calls himself. I think Jimmy's fantastic. I think Jimmy's a lot smarter than he lets on. He's very intelligent and very passionate. But what kind of country do we live in when the people with the microphone, the people with the platform, the New York Times, the Washington Post, the Nation, the Daily Beast, BuzzFeed, the Associated Press, Mother Jones magazine, Newsweek magazine, I could go on and on and on, that they have information. Vice Media, hey, I always keep it real with you. Vice Media was about to publish this story. Okay? They claim to be so progressive and hipster and radical. Vice Media was about to publish this story. But you know what? You know what? I get an email from them. Literally saying, we did not know when you reached out to us a month ago. So I was working with them for a month to get this story out. We were not aware of the details surrounding your exit from the Young Turks. Meaning they just suddenly decided the day before publishing a massive environmental scandal about not only the poisoning of Flint, but then trying to cover it up after the fact by manipulating the data. They just Googled my name a day before the story was supposed to be killed. And I guess they were concerned because I was let go from the Young Turks. There was a false allegation made against me. I already addressed that with you, the audience, many times. It's not true. It wasn't true then. It's not true then. It's not true now. Thankfully, people who have looked into it, the audience and the people that looked into this accusation against me realized it wasn't true. That's not the kind of person I am. That's not how I was raised. I would never do something like that. I don't know what more I could say. I've already commented on this. And so they basically said, oh, we can't publish a story. I said to them, and I have put my blood, my sweat, and my tears for 2.5 years into Flint. I've been there 13 times. I said to them, then take my name off the story. If there's a concern about being associated with me, then take my name off the story and put Jen as the lead reporter. And Jen would have deserved it. She knocked on every door with me. She was there with me the whole time. She did equal amount of reporting to me. So I said, take my name off it. This isn't about me. Of course, I would love credit for my hard work, but it's not about that. And they still said no. So was it really about that, or are they just chicken shit? Are they spineless, fake progressives that are really just corporatists? Well, go watch Shane Smith's adoring softball interview with former President Barack Obama for your answer. So this isn't about me as a journalist sitting here and asking for a pity party. This is about, if you don't realize by now what a need there is for something like status quo, then you're not paying attention. We don't have a national media in this country. We don't have investigative reporters in this country. I could name maybe three to five on my fingers that actually get out there, that don't just tweet all day, knock on doors, dig up dirt, take risks. And one of them, I interviewed him. His name's Greg Palast. You can watch that interview. It's on the channel right now. The full, almost hour interview. Oh, Abby Martin too. Thank you. But where are, by the way, here's a little hidden secret too. Where are the progressives on this issue? Where are the progressives on this issue? You got progressives in the media. You got progressive politicians. They seem to only be able to tweet about Trump or, frankly, the Democratic Party. Well, why do you get somebody like Trump? Maybe because systemic corruption and systemic inequality and systemically ignoring communities like Flint, maybe after a while, ignoring these stories in local communities creates the conditions to create a President Trump or a fake populist that cons people, which we see now. Trump, we're going to create more jobs at General Motors. General Motors just laid off 15,000 people today. Oh, the plants are coming back, Trump says. Well, maybe if we actually had reporting in this country and media in this country, you should see, Jen, myself, and Ty, the resources we have are like CNN has more resources on one piece of hair on its asshole than we have in this entire company right now. We're going to grow that, and one day we're going to be so huge and big. Oh, I'm talking like Trump. We're going to be so big your head will spin. We're going to grow our resources, but right now it's grassroots. But there are so many outlets out there that could do this reporting that Jen and I did times 10. They choose not to because we don't have journalism in this country. We have stenography for the powerful, stenography for the CIA, the FBI, Homeland Security. We have reporters sitting there and interviewing Trump and Democrats and other politicians, and might as well be having a tea party with them and playing patty cakes. That's why it's important that we build status quo. That's why I'm doing live stream marathons on Sundays. Do you think my first priority and preference on a Sunday is to sit in a chair for 7.5 hours and ask for money? Of course, I'm reporting and doing things. No, it's because status quo is badly, badly, badly needed. And if we're keeping it real here, folks, are there progressive outlets out there doing this? Are there progressive outlets out there knocking on 450 doors in Flint? If there are, please hook me up with them because I should have tried to work for them. I don't know any outlets doing this work, and I'm not just talking about Flint. I'm talking about anywhere. And part of it is they don't have the resources to do it. But name the outlet that is trying to GoFundMe so that they could go out, roll up their sleeves, sacrifice big portions of their life. Jen sacrificed time with her young children to do this. I've sacrificed having a life to do this. Is Trump a danger to the Republic? Yeah, I think he is. Are there a lot of outlets covering that into the ground? Yeah, I think so. That's why when I was at the Young Turks, I didn't cover Trump that much. Not because I didn't think it was important to cover him, but what do I have to add? What can I report about Donald Trump that's not being tweeted about or reported 25,000 times in the last 25 minutes? I want to cover everything that's being ignored, everything that's falling through the cracks. And you know how you create real journalism in America or anywhere? It's not a slogan. It's what I believe. You hand the microphone to actual living, breathing people who live in communities, activists, residents, local officials, whistleblowers.